It's me, the details of the teacher. I'm calling Lesego David. I'm the one who will be presenting the lesson for the learners, economics lesson, grade 10. I am calling Lesego David. So, today we will learn about early economic development and emergence of trade. Basically, this topic is based on the early societies, those people who lived before us, like how they were able to purchase goods and services, how they were able to create goods and services, how they were able to exchange goods and services, because at that time there were no market, there were no means of payment, there was nothing that could be used as a payment. So now, first, before we can go any further, we should always understand that an economy is a system in which people make, trade, buy and sell goods and services. In a strong economy, society produces and distributes many goods and services, whereas in a weak economy, the society struggles to survive. The process of economic development is where a society changes from depending mainly in agriculture to a prosperous society. That means now the independence, now us as household, we change from depending in infrastructure to changing in profitable society with a diversified economy. A diversified economy is regarded as an economy that is consists of different branches or sectors. For example, agriculture, industry and services. So at the end of this lesson that we are about to unfold, at the end of it, you must be able to know the concept relevant to the development of trade. You must be able to understand how specialization has led to barter and eventually the need for money. Explain the importance of mercantile law in trade. You must be able to understand the government's involvement in trade. You must be able to know how the increase in the demand for goods and services has led to specialization in industrial development and globalization. Early economic development and emergence of trade. As we are about to unfold the topic, I would like us to relate this topic to early societies, those people who lived before us. We can call them our great grandparents. Those people, they were able to live even though there were no markets. They were able to exchange goods and services even though there were no means of payment. But then still, even if there were no markets and means of payment, that will never stop them from doing whatever they had to do because they were economically active. The earliest humans were nomadic hunters. They were self-sufficient and dependent on agriculture. Those early societies, they did not have a stable place to stay. They had to move from one place to the other to look for food, to look for water, and to look for pastures. And as you know that, as you are a hunter, you are staying in the forest. There's no way that you can have a stable place due to weathers. Then you had to leave to look for food, to look for water. And as those people they started to live, they were self-sufficient. Self-sufficient implies that a person has the ability to produce goods and services for consumption. That means all those people, their economic activities were on agriculture. They were farming and they were also domesticating animals. As people they started to specialize, that means all people now they focus on producing one good. Let's say the neighborhood start to produce only potatoes, while the neighborhood B will start to produce milk. And now as people they start to specialize. Now let's go to the reason for specialization. Why do people specialize? Normally people specialize because they want to increase the production of that gold. That's why they specialize. But still, even if they specialize, they will need something from neighborhood B. Let's say, for example, neighborhood A is producing potatoes while neighborhood B is producing milk. Neighborhood A will go to neighborhood B to exchange milk with potatoes. That's when they had to implement a trade called barter. That means it's a barter trade. It's the exchange of goods with another good. That goods may be of the same value or below the value. And now, as you know that there is no way that you can exchange a potato with a milk because they do not have the same value, and that's where the problem has got to occur. And as the problem occurs, those early societies they had to implement the first means of payment. The things that were used as means of payment in early societies was gold, silver, cowrie shells, and others. Since now individuals, or we can say the early societies, they started to specialize, and now they were now the first means of payment that was created. That means now they were not able to exchange goods with another good. They had to exchange good with a means of payment, and that's when the market they start to evolve. And as the market start to evolve, producers started to specialize in a specific area of manufacturing. That means now people they started to become specific of what they are about to produce. Let's say now people who are producing vegetables, they know that I specialize only on vegetables, while people who are producing milk or dairy, they know that I focus on milk, while others they know that they are producing a certain good, they specialize on that good. Why? The reason why firms or individuals they started to specialize is because of that they want to increase the production of that good. And as we know that since since specialization lead to an increase in production, an increase in production will lead the individuals to decide whether they should trade their goods or not. And you should always know that whenever the product increases, that means the surplus, the extras that were produced, they had to be traded so that money can be made. There's no way that you can hold product. Basically, you have to exchange that product. And as trade take place, transport was implemented. The needs of the people became diverse, which led to an increase in the demand for goods and services. The trade started to increase nationally and internationally, and there was a rule on how to conduct the business became law. And the first rule that were ruling on how you should conduct the business was mercantile law. And the mercantile law, it is a rule and regulations that govern commercial transactions between people, firms, and government. Since now there was a rule that was implemented on how a business is conducted, there were now forms of ownership that were implemented. The first one, a sole trader. It is a business that is owned by one person. And the second one, a partnership. It is a business that is owned by two or more people. And we had to experience the other one, that is company. Company has got legal entities like, that is owned by shareholders and directors. And the fourth one is cooperation. The corporation is owned by members, maybe 1 to 10 members, like societies. With means of payment involved, with the trade that was involved, with production that is involved. Now the technology has to increase now. or the technology has to advance, or technology has to be created. In a technological process, innovation and inventions that were related to economic activities of the time included the following: mining, navigation, printing, and architecture. As now the market start to evolve, regulation on how to conduct the market start to be implemented, and the forms of ownership were now implemented. The government, it had to involve itself in the trade. What was the government's involvement in trade? Basically, government involved themselves in trade because to in to benefit from taxes, tariffs, custom duties. But those taxes and those tariffs and other money that is collected from individuals by the government, they were raised to finance these activities of the state. The common taxes that were raised were direct taxes, pool taxes, income taxes, property taxes, etc. And now as markets started to grow, and as now markets start to grow, and now the transportation were needed, the money that was collected by the government in forms of taxes, they were now used in physical infrastructure such as roads, government buildings, water supply and electricity supply, and military installation. The social infrastructures that were funded were schools and hospitals. Government financed infrastructure projects through collecting taxes, by borrowing money from the banks, and through private business finance. Government did collect taxes from the market and individuals, but did not collect markets for for its own benefit, but for the benefit of individuals and the market itself. Government were funding infrastructures. The physical infrastructures that were funded by the government at that time were roads, ports, government buildings, water supply, electricity supply, and social infrastructures such as schools, hospitals were also funded by the government. Governments finance infrastructure projects through collecting taxes and by borrowing money from banks and through private business financing. Since the market has started to develop rapidly, and the individuals focuses on creating enough production, the processes changed from an handicraft economy to one dominated by industry and machines manufacturing. That means so now the market has started to use machines to increase their mass production. Industrialization marked a shift to powered special purpose machinery, manufacturers and mass production. An increase in demand for goods resulted in the need for more cost-effective methods of production, which led to the rise in mechanization and the factory system. The goods were manufactured on large scale in the factories. The factory system was characterized by division of labor. The technological innovation led to ever-changing increased productivity while requiring less human energy. Greater volume and variety of factory-produced goods were manufactured, which raised the standard of living of many people. Remember, production leads to an increase in the level of output and income. And as the level of output and income increases, consumption spending will increase. And as consumption spending increases, the demand for goods will also increase. And as the demand for goods increases, cycle will keep on rotating. Almost all economic activities of those times were dependent on agricultural production. providing in basic needs as well as for raw materials such as fiber, animal skins, and wood for processing and handiwork. Handicraft industry and trade developed primarily for the products of agriculture. For example, cotton cultivation led to making of cotton cloth. Pastoral groups provided cattle heat for goat skin, which went into the making of leather garments and other products.